Hello, everyone. Welcome to our office hours here on the Academy. It is Wednesday. It is 4:30 p.m. Central Time. Hey there, Andrew. How are things?
Pretty good. As I always say, I'm always happy to be more than halfway through the week. But I will also have to say, sitting here with my window open, mid 70s, I hear the cicadas outside, a light breeze. That really adds a bit of positivity to an otherwise chaotic week.
Yeah.
How
And
about you?
kids are back in school, right? So a little bit quietness in the house, and
Exactly.
yeah,
A lot more zen this afternoon. How are you doing?
likewise.
Good. Good.
All right. So, what news do you have for us, Andrew?
Well, I've got a couple of things that I came across. It might not be the most surprising thing to you, but I have some things that I'd love to share if you don't mind sharing my screen.
Yeah, I will. I'm just gonna connect this one first, and then see if I can get yours up and running with. There we are.
All right,
That
that
looks
looks
like
like,
yours.
yes, it does. First thing I have up here is a little while back we shared that Ugur Cook had put together a little tool called the Intune Assignment Checker. Um, Noticed earlier this week that he released a 2.0 version of this script that fixed a couple of issues that had been reported, as well as switched over to certificate-based authentication for a little bit more security, which I think makes sense given the tool. You do provide it quite a bit of read permissions in Graph. So nice update there. Wanted to make sure I shared that. Um, Also came across a pretty cool blog post from Damien. I feel like we've been talking about local admins quite a bit over the last few weeks. And Damien came up with a new script here that can be used as a remediation in Intune, where you can specify a number of authorized local admin accounts, or what you deem as authorized local admin accounts, in a detection script as part of a remediation in Intune. And if there are additional local admin accounts that get added to the local admins group, you can go ahead and remove them with a remediation script. So again, nice, clever, easy to use script here put together from Damien. Great stuff. And he does have a couple of links here down at the bottom where he has posts on dashboards to monitor those local admin accounts, as well as alerts when they've been found on the devices. So if you don't want to go quite as far as automatically removing them, he has a couple of other blog posts here that I recommend you check out. I also came across a new update from our good friend Jorgen on customizing the taskbar and start menu in 23H2 with PowerShell. A couple of things that he added in here was removing search, as well as the removal of the Copilot icon in the taskbar with this PowerShell script. This kind of cracked me up because this seems to be fairly common if you want to customize the operating system these days. The search removal is fixed, but a little dirty in the script there. But yet again, Jorgen comes out with a solution for this customization, so really good stuff there. Last but not least, I also came across an update. I believe we've shared this page in the past, but we have definitely shared a lot of resources from Meryl Fernando from Microsoft, puts together a number of other really community-driven web pages, but obviously they are focused around things like Graph. He's done Graph X-Ray, CMD.ms, a couple of the tools that he's got up here at the top. But this one in particular, the Microsoft Graph Permissions Explorer, so in his words, the Microsoft Docs don't actually provide a consolidated view of all of the graph APIs and the objects for a given graph permission. So he is parsing all of the Microsoft Learn docs based on Graph API, and merging it with the API to automatically generate this site, which is very cool. Makes it easy to navigate, makes it easy to find what you need, or at least easier. And some of the updates he made, I know one in particular that I caught was if we click on a specific permission, let's go with one of the device management ones. Device management, manage devices, which are Intune device objects in Microsoft Graph. When you click on this, so the website had a little bit of a facelift, a little bit of a UI update, and a couple of other things that he's changed here. But one thing that he pointed out was that he added these icons here next to each endpoint to tell you whether or not a specific permission will be able to provide you delegated access. So you're connecting and working with Graph on behalf of a user, or the app-only access permissions where you can automate things and sort of work through on a silent basis. And so I happen to pick one that basically everything has delegated and app-only permissions. Let me see if I can find... Here we go. So when I click on directory read write all, you can see here some of these permissions are only delegated permissions, meaning that we could not automate using an app registration, automate any scripts against these particular methods here. But this is, I thought this was a fantastic addition. Again, great resource if you want to browse around and figure out what you need within the Graph API. I know there's a lot of information in there, and there's a lot of things that you might assume you can do, but maybe there's a limitation for these types of permissions. So I caught that as well. Figured it would be worth sharing. And again, I would also recommend checking out Merrill's other solutions up here at the top of this page as well. Very useful stuff. So that's what I had on my list today, sir.
All right, I did stumble across a few things. So let me go ahead and figure out how to switch screens. Platform we're using decided to do an upgrade today, and I just noticed when logging in, it's like, okay,
surprise.
Much. Like, whoa, where did the stuff go? Well, this looks like my computer. All right.
Yep.
We are on track. First one was a beautiful little post from our friends over at Patch My PC. Just an article for people that are new to PowerShell and wanted to learn about PowerShell. And here's a little summary on what a PowerShell script is, or rather what writing a PowerShell script is all about. So handy little posts. I figured we could share that one.
Very nice.
Beautiful written. And then I doubt that anyone missed the 4,000 emails that came out earlier this week from all sorts of sources regarding the MFA enforcement that kicks in October. October 15th, to be specific. And long story short, it's for the good, obviously. But if your organization, for whatever reason, cannot do it right now, there is an option to apply to postpone that enforcement. Don't know what the process looks like, but I saw the link right there, so I figured it would be worth sharing. And then finally, I stumbled across a thread on Twitter, or X, regarding Autopilot and hybrid join. Usually when you hear those two words in the same sentence, a good solution is to run in an opposite direction very quickly. But in this case, that organization actually have to use, so that they didn't have a choice, and they were struggling getting it reliable. And someone shared this little utility or workaround or solution in it, because one of the challenges with hybrid and Autopilot is that we have multiple connectors involved, and they all need to be synced in a timely order during that entire process. Otherwise, the enrollment will never kick in eventually on the client. So we could share this link here. It's a nice solution being developed that, from a scripted approach, allowed to put in a lot of validations and trigger syncs when needed for this process. So, and I like the title too. Wouldn't necessarily put joy in the same word as Autopilot either, but since the author's name is Joy Malia, I figured, all right, that would be a valid exception, I think. So
That's good.
yeah. So that was all that I had at the moment in terms of news. And I did think we had a, yeah, go ahead, sir.
I was just going to say, I remembered that, I don't know if you had come across this or if anyone else that's joining us today that had come across this, but I did see some issues with the August CU and Server 2019. Have you come across any of those issues where folks are having to roll back the patch, delete files in the catroot2 folder, a bunch of strange stuff?
No, but I had a boot image that I didn't quite like that I patched with the August media, but I haven't really gone to the root cause of that yet.
Okay.
Tried to patch a Windows 11 22H2 boot image, so the 2261 build. Worked beautiful with Do Not Rely, but August they did not approve of. So either I messed my script up or something else at play. So, well, we'll see. Troubleshooting in progress.
Yeah, definitely. All right. So looks like we've got a couple of folks joining us here. Some familiar names. I see Andrew's joining us from across the pond. A little late, definitely.
A little late. Heck, it's so, almost 11 over there, or maybe 10 if it's in the UK.
Yeah.
I have Johnny from Sweden joining. Hey, Johnny.
Hey, Johnny. Nice to see you here. All right, and then we do have a question from Martin over on YouTube. I have a version of Windows ADK 26100 build on my ConfigMgr server, which is running 2304. If I create a new boot image via the ADK and Pixie or create boot media, as soon as the image is loaded, it just reboots. Does not even show the ConfigMgr background boot image. Have you seen this behavior before? No drivers or components have been added at this point.
No, I have not, but we have seen a good few issues with the 24H2 ADK. So right now we are not recommended folks to use it. If you want to add it as an extra boot image to just play around and test, absolutely yes. But right now the 22H2 is the most reliable boot image there is. But I haven't seen that particular problem with it. What's been reported so far is servicing incapabilities as well as PowerShell modules or commands not functioning correctly. And technically, there is no need to have a 24H2 boot image. The 22H2 will happily deploy any possible version of Windows 10, Windows 11, including the latest Windows 11 24H2 preview release, and also the versions out there. So there's no need.
All right.
Anything else? on your mind that we can help answering? All right, we have an Intune question, it looks like.
Yeah, so in the endpoint security node in Intune, creating a firewall policy to enable remote desktop inbound rules. The policy shows succeeded on all devices, but is still showing as disabled.
Well, I know from experience that it requires way more than just that to configure remote desktop. I did a video of it just around Christmas time this year. It's part
That's
of the
right.
Big Mess videos. And when I configured this in my Intune tenant, I remember having to set a good few extra policies. So obviously, the firewall rules that they were there, I had them already. So I have a remote desktop rule for that particular port. So 3389. This one here. But I also had to do a configuration profile, or policy as they're called now these days. Here. Where I ended up having to do a bunch of different settings to make it work. And I lately saw that Peter van der Woede, he posted a detailed guide on this setup on his blog. I actually shared it on LinkedIn the other day with someone who was asking. The moment I can find that one because I just shared it in a message. Shouldn't be too hard to find that one. There we go.
Got it.
Yeah. Just waiting for LinkedIn to allow me to get away from it. So this one here. So this scenario was specifically to enable it through Intune, but also allow you to use it to enable remote into Azure AD joint devices. So follow through this documentation. It will be a good start. So I want to make sure to share that link with you guys as always. And the video should be up here. Also on the deployment research channel. Let's see if I can search for the keyword remote. There we go. This one here. Gives you a step-by-step guide for the process. All right.
All right. We've got another question coming in here from Joshua over on YouTube. We've had admin rights in our environment for as long as I can remember, and we are in the middle of a project to remove some of those admin rights. The way we give admin rights currently is by adding interactive to the local administrator group. As part of this process, we are removing interactive from the admin group, and I'm working on an application that will add interactive back to the local administrators in case they need it back for business reasons.
Okay. I have not seen that being done before. Was there a question related to it, or was this just information?
Yeah, I'm not sure if we're missing a message there. Joshua, if you've still got a question in there to type, we will circle back to it.
I mean, there are options in Intune to delegate or have basically approval-based flows for all sorts of roles, including local access on devices. I think you guys had something like that under, didn't you, to allow folks being a local admin?
Yeah, the you referring to the account protection policy?
Yeah,
Yep, yep. I can show a little bit of that real quick.
yeah.
You want to share my screen?
Yes, I will.
All right.
Soon. Good Lord. Here we are.
There we go. There we go. All right. So, yeah, at least through Intune here, um, I like managing the local admins group with these policies. So I've got one right here for replacing local administrators. And if I click on this policy and edit the settings here, we can see basically what I'm doing is selecting the local administrators group, replacing everyone that's in that group with a set of selected users or groups. In this case, I just have an Entra user set as local admin. Now we can swap this over to manual here, and then we can use either username, domain/username, or SID if we've got the SID for our user account or group to add these into the groups. Now I'm replacing, but we can update those by just adding or simply removing. Very similar to group policy preferences if you've used those in the past. But I've had a lot of luck with this method.
All right, beautiful. I did stumble across, it was a while ago. I think this is still very much valid. The UI may have changed a little bit, but this was a post regarding adding folks to the device administrator role using privileged access management or privileged identity management, the PIM solution. So you have to request it, and you have to provide a reason for why you need admin access, and then it adds you to that role, and that gives you access or administrator access to that machine. So that's still valid. Yeah.
With interactive, would that add essentially anybody remoting into a device or logging into a device interactively, add them as an admin?
I do not know. I haven't tried that solution.
Okay.
I've never added or removed interactive out of the local admin group.
Okay.
At least
Yeah,
I
same.
can remember. If anyone else has stumbled across that as a solution, by all means, let us know. We'll be happy to share it in the chat here or in the session.
All right. We've got another question here over on YouTube. Your book and Michael's book, Deployment Fundamentals Volume 1, helped me to deploy Windows 7 at the time and set the path I've worked ever since. Do you have any plans to write a book about Intune?
Well, we started to write Volume 7 a little while back, but that one has gone into a limbo at the moment. The idea was to have a book that covered servicing with ConfigMgr, MDT, and Intune. But no ETA on that one. I'm not sure if we ever will finish it, but it's still being worked on here and there, but it's not. I don't have a timeline for it. If you want something good on Intune, let me try to clean up my desk just a little bit. Have this little handy. Let me get rid of my screen and see if we can get this. This book here, this is the second edition, Mastering Microsoft Intune, written by Christian Brinkhoff and Per Larsen. A lovely, barely 800 pages to skim through. Give you the basics on the Intune platform. Well, it's a good one. So,
quick little read.
Quick little read. I can probably find it on Amazon because I bought it from Amazon. Can't be that hard. Mastering Microsoft. I can't even spell to Microsoft. This is not a good day. Second, here we go. That will be the one. That will be the one. We'll share this link in the chat also in the text below. So, grabbing that link.
Yeah, great stuff. And Andrew in the chat also agrees, has both of those editions, or both editions of that book, I should say.
Yeah. The only real challenge with writing books on Intune is the cadence.
Yeah.
Pretty much the moment it goes in print, it's outdated. Not all of it, of course, but there are things that change all the time, and that makes this more difficult. It's really hard to patch a printed volume, it turns out. Ebooks easier, like Kindles and PDFs and whatnot, but
well, if you figure out how to patch a printed one, I think you could be quite successful.
well, a lot of that. I don't know the English word for it. It's called Tipex in Swedish. It's like a little tube with a small plier on that you scribble over the words and
Okay.
again. I cannot come up with the English word for it. It must have existed here also. We used to have them when we typed on typewriters. Whiteout,
Wow.
it's called. Whiteout.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that'll do it. You imagine you sell a few hundred copies and send them back to me. I'll white everything out that needs to be updated.
Yeah, correction tape. That's the wording. Yeah.
Yeah.
That will do it. That will do it.
Here we are solving the world's problems again.
One step at a time. Yeah. And to Andrew's comment, Per is a great author, speaker as well. Concur, fully agree on that one. All right, okay. So Joshua looks like he had a follow-up comment on detection method. And that was for the solution or an app to add that device to the group. So yeah, PowerShell script for that purpose, a script, a detection method is probably the best one. Because you can be as whatever the script do, you can do.
Yes,
that works. All right. The other things I was thinking of, I think it's at least worth mentioning when talking about administrative privileges on devices. For those of you that have access to the Intune suite or have bought the privilege management component as a standalone option, that one also allow you to elevate specific items for your users. So that could be a solution as well. I know that you recently added in the script support for this one. So yeah, that is also an option. So basically allowing regular users to launch certain tasks that require elevated privileges. And app installs is a good example here. So that is also an option. An expensive one, but still an option.
Indeed. $3 a month retail per user as an add-on.
Yeah, that adds up.
I do. Anytime I look at the add-on pricing, I think, well, I was going to say think to myself, but now I'm thinking it out loud. If I'm going to go for the add-on pricing, I would probably try to find a way to use multiples of these features and just go straight to the suite, because
Yeah,
you will see
find
a
them.
price break.
Yeah, I agree. All right. Any other questions or comments out there? Still,
Josh, just going to say, Joshua had another follow-up here. Trying to use PowerShell as a detection script and getting an error saying this software is not applicable to your device. I don't know that I've come across that before.
I have not. Usually, it means that whatever the script returned is not what you were hoping for. It needs to return not just exit 0, but also a little text about the situation. I think I stumbled across a good example. Might have been good old Peter again. Yeah, so this one might be a better one. This was good. It was Rudy, a good post. The Ballad of Buster Exit Codes. I love his titles. Blog titles.
Yes.
But it focusing on the exit code for the app, the detection script that you're using. So basically, this combination of text. So, combining this. So you will do an exit code and you will put something in standard out from it. Anything, just a happy word or a phrase or whatever. That is usually what I see happens. So even if you exit with 0, it still says, no, this is not installed. Well, yes, it is, or it's not.
All right. Great stuff. Hopefully that helps. Had a follow-up comment here about book writing. Maybe you can write a book for PowerShell deployment for MDT.
I could. That would be maybe a free ebook or something. That would be cool.
There you go.
At least more feasible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would think so. Martin had a follow-up. They use admin by request as a solution for managing local admin.
Yeah.
So very cool. We'll throw that out there. We've got a question around deploying Teams. Are there any benefits in deploying Teams as a Win32 app instead of including it in the Microsoft 365 suite? So control is one. We've talked a little bit about, in the last couple of weeks actually, even deploying the M365 suite itself as a Win32 app rather than using the built-in Microsoft 365 apps application type. So we have a couple of links that we can share around that. I'm trying. We just had this conversation, and my brain is failing me right now.
No, but it was basically around folks having trouble getting it reliably installed as part of the Microsoft 365 apps, and for those folks that had been using as a standalone to basically solve that problem.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, 2 weeks ago, we discussed this a little bit. And it looks like we shared, I can share these again for today, but we shared a blog post from our friend Matthias Melkerson.
Do you have it up on your screen?
I will throw it up right now. As long as it'll load. There we go. So on building those M365 apps as Win32 apps, including additional apps for Visio, project, installs, uninstalls, all that. And then we had another post that we shared on deploying the new Teams client from Florian and cleaning up the old Teams client as well. And this was as a Win32 app. And it did seem like, to your point, Johan, the general consensus was folks were getting a little bit more consistency with this method and reliability.
To mention it, I think I saw something on Twitter, just corner of my eye earlier, about a new unified Teams install for both PCs and Mac, so you can roam in between the two. But I have no more details than that. So
Interesting.
something that showed up. But yeah, great links.
All right. Andrew is asking, any recommendations regarding privileged access workstation setup? I'm looking at either Windows 365 or AVD or a physical build. Any tips or anything like that for administrative use?
I have not published anything on that. I know that Michael Nystrom, that I worked with for a bit, or still work with, but not in the same company, he used to or work with some of that and share something in sessions and whatnot. Sami Layo also has something around that. Wonder if he ever published anything. Yeah, he did. This video.
Oh, did you want to share?
Oh, I did not. Dang it. So close. How about that?
There we go.
Yeah. So this one, maybe. Sami knows what he's talking about, so. I don't think he's with Trusik anymore, but he was with them for a while there. So. The Hack Summit, whatever that is.
Well, they at least talked about privileged access workstations there.
Yeah. All right.
All right. So Amir has a question here. So basically, I'm going to try to get the gist here, Amir. Setting up and testing a new user-driven Autopilot environment with
Yeah.
7 specific apps assigned in the ESP, including Office 365 package from Intune. Everything had been working fine up to the point that the VM that he was testing on started failing at 6 out of 7 applications, and eventually it times out. Continuing anyways, the apps are actually there. And according to ESP, the Office app seems to be the issue. The Office click to run installation log was in the Windows temp folder, but it was 1 0 byte file.
Mm-hmm.
Any other locations I should check for these logs? And just in addition to this, to rule out the VM, he also started up a physical device which had also had some app installation issues due to Office. So the ultimate question here is, what's the best way to troubleshoot this issue, or at least find the names of the apps that the device is getting?
So this parsing the IME agent for apps that are coming in that way, for sure. We have the parser script that we've been showcasing a few times from Petri. It can help with that. In this case, I like to say that if the native M365 apps is giving you a hard time for Office in terms of applying quickly through Autopilot, I would recommend putting Office as a Win32 app instead. Because those apps, and I'm just going to pick 7-zip as an example here, when you assign them to a group, you have the option of flipping it from doing a background download to a foreground download. That typically speeds up the process. Also making sure that you have reasonable DA policies applied to the device at that point. So I would start maybe there, see if that takes care of the problem. And using Andrew's link as shared earlier on creating that app.
App troubleshooting and content distribution troubleshooting, one of necessary skills in this area, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, you also have the DO logs on the client itself if you think there is a problem with the download. Intune and Autopilot is kind of picky on how long time it takes to download stuff. So if it's either too throttled or is something going on, endpoints are not opened, then it can cause a failure. And it will eventually try again later when the next schedule kicks in. And also 7-apps is pushing it, by the way, in Autopilot.
Amir asked a follow up here. Any idea why one machine got 6 and the other got 7 apps assigned?
No, it's pretty much as soon as you start to have these multiple apps in the Autopilot process, the risk for intermittent failures increases. If you deploy 100 devices, they are on the same network, they are on the same hardware even, and 97 gets everything and 3 doesn't. So usually most successful reduce the number of apps by keeping those apps a little bit smaller and making sure they're all at the same type, etc. That's usually a good recipe for more consistent behavior. So I would start there. I mean, we have shared a good few deep dives, for example, from our friends over at MS Endpoint Manager. This one here, a fantastic post, a long one, but a good one to do this. So maybe that.
And also, just a simple, at the risk of sounding too obvious here, double check your assignments if one's seeing an extra one, and possibly the Uger's Intune assignment checker that I shared earlier may be able to help you do that more easily.
All right, thank you, sir.
And I say that from experience. I have certainly forgotten that I had assigned, an application to a test VM or added it to a group and left it there for a while. So, kind of like when we talk about licensing, right, Johan? Surely you would never forget to license an account.
Never.
Or I didn't think so.
I don't think I've done it more than 3-4 times per day, so or in a day.
Yep, right there with you.
All right, anything else out there? We still have 11 more minutes to go. Oh, I have a question for you guys.
Oh.
Every now and then we have a guest in this in office hours. Are there any folks that you really would like us to invite as guests? If so, please drop a comment in the various channels you are watching us on: Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube.
Like Dwayne Johnson, Carl Urban as Billy Butcher.
No, I was more thinking IT people.
Oh, okay. All right.
I really like Carl Urban as an actor, but I don't think he's not known for his Intune expertise.
Yeah. Well,
It may surprise me. The guy that plays Superman, Henry
Cavill.
Yeah, he turned out to be a computer geek. He builds computers. He likes that. It's like, dang.
Yep.
Superman in real life too. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we did have a couple of Mike Niehaus requests here, and Mark Rasinovich.
Well, on the Niehaus route, you can join us next Wednesday. He will be here on the Academy for an hour and a half on Windows Autopilot. That one is free to attend. So it's not office hours, but it's still community content, and that.
I can't think of a time that I have attended one of his presentations and not learned something new.
No. I saw there was a quest for Mark Rasinovich. That one is probably going to be a little bit harder. He's a busy gentleman.
Yes. I had the pleasure of speaking with him for a few minutes in the hotel bar of a tech ed event one time. One of the, you have these times where you sort of feel starstruck in your career, even. That was
Yeah.
one of those times. And what a I don't have anything but good to say for as busy as that man is, and for as many people that want to talk to him, and as intelligent as he is. Very down to earth. Sat and spoke with me for a while, and this was early on in my career too. Um, very
That's
cool guy.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is awesome. Smart, for sure.
Yes. All
Mike
right. Well,
Neisser was suggested. We had him before. Adam Gross was suggested. We had him on, was it last year?
we
Yeah.
did. We tried to have Adam on, but he was, if I recall, was he having internet issues or was Steve? No, Steve might have been.
I don't know, but heck, wait, no, we can't invite him again.
Yeah, I think Adam's overdue to join us, anyways.
I think so.
All
Scribbling down the notes.
right. Excellent. All right, we had a couple of other questions come in as well. I want to make sure that we get to them before we hit our time here.
Yes, sir.
Easy question here. How do I download all PowerShell scripts from Intune for review?
That will be either PowerShell or the Intune management tool, which is behind the scenes using a healthy dose of PowerShell.
Wait, PowerShell to download PowerShell?
Yes, sir.
Oh, awesome. Diego is asking. Oh, I should mention too before we move on. I'll add the link to the Intune management tool as well, so it's out there for this evening.
Yeah, the tool is this one here. This is the tool. It's a great tool.
Yes, fantastic stuff. All right, Diego is asking, have you had to deploy any upgrades for Acrobat Pro 10 in Intune? How would you guys work on this? Oh, not specifically.
I wonder if I had that available in this one here. I'd like to say I enabled something. Maybe it was not Adobe. Was it Adobe Reader? Was that the...
No, it was Acrobat Pro.
Ah, okay, part of the suite. All right. That one won't be here. No, that one I have not done.
Oh, we had a question here from David. Did you get a chance to get a vanilla Windows 11 Autounattend.xml over the weekend? Sorry, I've been busy, and if I've missed this. I think you did share that like a week or two ago, right?
I did. Question is, where did I put it? Oh. Here. Right here. This is it.
There we go. All right. Diego mentioned Reader, Acrobat Reader would work also for updates, but I think in your case, don't want to put words in your mouth, but were you going to recommend Patch My PC?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really the only way that I've done that recently. Acrobat Reader Pro.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, the only way I've done any of those updates recently would have been through Patch My PC.
So there is a website I found quite useful over the years. This one here, where you basically type in the application that you want to. That's a new spelling for Adobe Reader, but I found it anyway. It looks like. So maybe borrow some ideas from this one.
Yeah, and maybe with that version,
This one is for Intune and ConfigMgr. Yeah.
yeah, with that version that's currently out there, upgrading to the latest, maybe do a superseded app. Just as a thought.
Yeah.
We had a couple of other names recommended as well in the chat. We haven't had Kent on in a while.
No, it's been a while. I mean, it's easy when he's here in the US because then I can join at daytime. But we start at 11:30 p.m. Danish time. So
yeah, that's true.
A
little late.
Tiny bit.
All right. Looks like I think we have time for this last question here.
Okay.
I have a third-party catalog set, packages downloading in software updates. Problem is that drivers cannot be downloaded because it switches the URL with the cab file from the correct port of 8530 to port 80.
This sounds like it's a ConfigMgr question.
Mhm.
I would not recommend to do that route for driver updates. I would use either sequences or packages for that in ConfigMgr. To
So
do driver updates. Yeah.
Just take them out of the equation.
Yeah, so basically something like this, where you have a sequence that is smart enough to look across all your different driver packages that you have. And instead of using them for bare metal deployment or servicing or anything like that, you would have just a tiny sequence that the only thing it does is driver updates. So it's calling the script to figure out if a driver update is available for a model, and if it is, install it using the driver update option for this script. So that's what I've been using for driver updates. I'm not a big fan of the third-party catalogs for driver updates because the catalogs themselves has been so bad over the years. So I gave up on them. Other option is if we've been showing several times here on the platform, on the office hours, is to leverage driver updates from Intune or using the intro control plane for this. Here, these are better options. So maybe that. And you can use this without moving the workload to Intune. I wrote a post about that just recently. On how you can leverage this control plane by basically controlling this behavior. I help it using PowerShell. And here was the original post that I stumbled across from one of the Microsoft folks. So use leveraging Intune for driver updates, but not moving the workload in ConfigMgr. So, but we'll share these links so you have them available.
All right. Thank you for that, sir.
Yeah, and we are. Dang, that hour flew by quickly.
Yes, it did.
All right. Thank you, Andrew, and thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We hope to see you again next Wednesday. So have a great rest of your week, everyone. Bye for now.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great one.